On today's edition of Forever Home, we're working on taking care of patching up some water damage, getting some back patio doors installed correctly, and installing some new wolf portrait siding. Let's go up and take a look and we'll show you what's going on. The customer had called us because they had water coming in their back door area and into the inside of their guest bedroom. So right down here in the corner, all of this dirt was piled up right against the side of the house here, and it wrapped around the front and came up to about here and then dove down. I'll walk back and give you a little bit wider shot here. And so everything covered in green had dirt in front of it at one point. This side of the wall is framed. The left side of the wall over there is cinder block. And with dirt up against that stucco product, stucco is not in and of itself waterproof. It's a permeable material. The water can get through it. And so over time, with the dirt piled against there, that water just worked its way into the home. And they got mold growing behind the drywall and some other challenges down there. As they had a remediation come out, they tested everything. They didn't want to rip any drywall down until they were ready to actually tear this out because she was afraid of the mold spores getting into the house. So we didn't do any demo until we had the outside sort of taken care of. So her landscaper came through and he removed all of the dirt, got this dug out for us, which was great. Got the dirt away from the side of the house. That allowed our team to cut off and strip off the stucco that was on the exterior here, get into the framing that was damaged, replace the framing members that needed to be. So there was some pressure treated that we put back in, there's some framing lumber that we put back in. But once we got all of that structural work repaired, we got the new foam up and we're pretty much ready to put the stucco back on. But before the stucco can go back on, the new siding has to go in. Now she had this board and batten here, and for the way this is up down against the ground on this level here, we've suggested that they move the patio, they drop that 8 inches so that you have a step coming out these doors and down. You never want your grade to be right up against your back door if you can help it. Even on a deck, I'd prefer to see an 8-inch step down so that snow and ice can't make its way underneath that door. So they are kind of up against a relatively low spot here. They can't get a whole lot lower because of where the pitch of the grade is. And they've got this pond that comes down and through. So it's going to be a balancing act, because how low can you take this before you have water from here start coming up onto the patio? But that's something their talented landscaper can work on with them to help make sure that that gets done properly. So the goal is to see that get taken down, but in the interim, what we need to do is we need to come up with a product for the siding here that's going to be more situated to handle the type of abuse it's going to get being right down against the water. Anytime it's cement board, you're going to want to have an 8-inch, like a freeze board across the bottom, something that product's not down in the wet. So we came across something called wolf portrait siding, made here in Pennsylvania, and it's a composite siding material that is it has some density to it, much like you'd see in a deck board. And so we're looking to use that product on here on the back. They didn't like the look of vinyl siding. We looked at a couple of stone products, and this was something that she thought that she liked the look of and would make sense. And the thought was initially that was going to stop here at the 3-foot line and the board and batten would continue on up. But the further that we dug into this project, the more problems that we found. The door, this was installed by the manufacturer, and I'm not going to name names, but the guys that put this in for her last year, I guess, didn't want to mess with the board and batten siding, so they left the nailing flange inside the jamb, and we can't find any fasteners. Maybe they just used the shims to hold it, we're not totally sure. But from a waterproofing perspective and securing the door and all of that, we'd really like to see that nailing flange connected. So we're going to wind up removing this door, pulling it out, getting that nailing flange where it belongs, and then putting the door, reinstalling the door back in. So in order to do that, siding needed to come down. She just had these other 2 doors replaced, and the guys, again, same company, unfortunately, they put the door in, they took out the old aluminum Z-flash that was on top of here, and they didn't bother trying to get a new one up behind. They just caulked the heck out of it with goop. And that's, again, not an acceptable way to waterproof that. And so with 3 doors here compromised, it just made sense to say, you know what, the rest of the board and batten's coming off. We're going to run, get the house wrap down where it needs to be, because right now at this point, you'll see how the house wrap is cut here. We talk about flashing layers. There's no way for that to get down onto here and out. Now we can get a Z-flash up behind this and make sure that everything is continuous the way we want it to be. The way the house was designed, they actually had 2 steps in the board and batten, so there's plenty of room for us to get up behind that and in tight to the house and help make sure that we got the flashing layers correct on that, and then that product will hopefully just be able to slip right up and in there. So the guys are working on exactly how we're going to flash this to make it nice. You'll see over here that we put the ice and water shield on before we put our foam insulation to pack this out for the stucco. So once the siding's up, then we can come back and we can install new stucco on the back of here and get that patched in. So the guys are working on pulling off the trim that the door installers put on, and this is just a straight piece of AZAC, and we've actually picked up some AZAC that has a J channel in it. That's going to give us something to hide those end joints of the siding into. So that's going to be a real neat finished look when it's done. So unfortunately, we have to take back apart what the door guys already did, but sadly they did it wrong. It wasn't flashed correctly. It's going to leak at some point, and it needed to be fixed. So we're going to take and run that wolf portrait siding instead of just 3 feet up. We're going to go all the way up to this divide line across the back of the house with it, and I think that's going to be a real pretty look when it's all said and done. So, and she's going to be watertight, and she's not going to have to worry about it leaking anymore. So that process is taking place. We've got the sump pump from underneath the gymnasium pipe down and out here to daylight and into the underground system, which gets it at least a little bit further out here away from the house. That way we're not putting any serious amounts of water underneath the deck where there's no light, there's no ventilation, and where it's just going to stagnate. We want to make sure that comes all the way out here to daylight. So we've got that piped in and out and through. The homeowner had some concerns over here on this side. You can see where the dirt is piled up here the same way it was piled up on the other side. The difference here is that there's no dirt on the face where we have framing. All the dirt's around this side. So anything that's getting into the stucco, if it's coming around, hopefully it's just being able to drain to daylight and get out here. Whereas on the other side, there was dirt all up where you see that discoloration, which means that it had no way to dry out, which means it had to dry to the inside, and that moisture was being driven into those studs, into that framing. They haven't detected any problems over here on this side. We will probably get the moisture meter out and check it at some point just to make sure. But right now the game plan is to pretty much leave the side alone. And the other thing that was a definitive problem that they had over there was their downspout came loose and was flooding right at the top here instead of going into the underground system. So knowing that this is piped into the underground properly, we don't expect her to have the same kind of issues on this side that she had over there. So this is Drew in beautiful Kennet Square, Pennsylvania. If our team can help solve a problem for you, there's literally nothing that we don't do. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, decks, anything on the interior home, remodeling your kitchen, renovating your master bath, finishing your basement, plumbing, electrical, drywall, spackle, paint, build an addition, a custom dream house, a new garage outside of your place. Anything that we can help you with, give our team a call. We're available weekdays, 9:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon at 484-748-0008. Choose option 2 for Coat Built, your full service construction and renovation, compounding and extension 2. For new projects, we'd be happy to assist you. The fastest way to reach our team, of course, is to take a picture of your problem, send it to us right here on Facebook. Click that Contact Us button at the top, send it to us through Facebook Messenger, and our team will get back to you about that. If you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get updated on all our cool homeowner tips that are going to help you be able to ask the right questions when you're interviewing a contractor for work at your house to make sure that you don't wind up with some of these same issues that our customer here is unfortunately dealing with. Hopefully these videos are educational on that side of things. We are your full service construction and renovation company, registered in Pennsylvania number 88078 and in Newcastle County, Delaware 10490. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Remember, we're finished with it. It's not just done, it was coat built. We'll catch you on the next episode of Forever Home. Bye for now.